We will start with our best of show. The award goes to Joan Painter Jones, and this is for the work titled Robot Explorer. Where is Joan?
You gotta go on this side.
Okay.
It comes from inside. A lot of artists paint what they see, but my seeing's all in my head. I keep being inspired. I'll see like an interesting piece of old painted wood or a piece of metal and start thinking toward some kind of thing with them in it. I prefer art that's different. I've seen so many barn paintings and flowers and teacups and stuff, and I would rather do something else. I get bored when I know what something's going to look like, and it's just visual, pure visual. This looks like the photograph that you took, or the scene you were at. I just prefer something that makes me think a little more, think more differently than I had. I've known people that could just walk into this house even and not notice the artwork at all, and it's obviously everywhere, but it's the way they're wired. They don't notice it, but when I picture a world without art, I picture everything looking kind of like the inside of a factory. I think he looks vulnerable in a way, and like he is exploring. He reminds me almost of an Inuit in a way, and yet in another way, he could be, like my sister called him, a man on the moon, that coming into a place for the first time and exploring it. I don't ever have a really solid idea in my head of what the piece is going to look like when I'm through. So I'm exploring there too. I'm trying one thing and another until I find the pieces that will do what I want it to do. I know some assemblage artists, and I don't work quite like them. The ones I know mostly, except for Tyree, are more technically perfect. When it's together, it's together. You know, you can't see how they put it together. With me, a lot of times I leave my screws exposed where they are. Like on my robot, there's a screw, but it's all rusty looking like his license plate. And, I like things looking older rather than all painted and shiny. In the late 1970s, I was taking watercolor at EMU from Kingsley Calkins, my mentor, and this chicken he really loved, and so this was painted from one of my hens. I actually found it boring to do a lot of little details over time. I loved the spontaneity of having a piece of wood that I could add to and just keep adding to until I felt like it was finished. And it has a picture that I drew of me as a baby. That little bouquet-like thing was from my son's wife at the time. The key, there's something about keys, they open things. This one is Difficult Journey, and it reminds me of a kind of a ship or a loaded wagon or something that is trying to navigate. This started with a really odd thing I found in Ann Arbor, and I call it Pinocchio's cabinet because he's peeking out of it. It's called solitary confinement, and it gives you the feeling of being close in. I think there are times a child feels alone, or any person feeling alone, solitary, and maybe confined in themselves. I've got another one I never wanted to sell once I made it. Let me move this one. I just started putting color on the canvas, and then I kind of imagined a face. She looks to me somewhat dreamy, like she's on the playground and somebody else has the swings. Well, my husband said he wouldn't have built this barn if I wouldn't have the studio. And so I naturally was thrilled. And this was about 1991 that I moved up here. What a good girl. I couldn't live in the clutter like this in my house. It would really bother me a lot. But those are found objects that could be future artworks, and some of the special stuff I kind of, that I plan to use eventually, I put in more of a compact place because there'll be a start to something. This is my first little sheltered child baby bed, and for that I cut this down so that it would be narrow. It needed a base to make it more like you're looking at a slice of a room. It was showing the difficulty of children in general. And my piece that was in a show in Rochester, I love the fanciful look that it's going to fly. When you're teaching kids, young kids, even beginning college, I know that the teachers want you to be able to draw something that looks like something. They'll set up little still lifes and expect you to do the still lifes. And it makes sense because you're learning some skills. But I really think that I couldn't explain to a child very well why abstract art is art. I think I would have them experience different places and show them as individuals, you know, this is one way of expressing something, and then maybe show them how Picasso would do a model. It would be a very different model from the models he painted first. Do you like that he can use different colors now for the face when he couldn't before because he was trying to do realistic work? So I think it's more experience that helps a child understand that, or an adult. There's something about going upstairs in my studio when I know what I'm going to work on, and I'm eager to work on it. I'm just elated. I can be working even into later night and just be all involved in it. I've always been a daydreamer, and while many artists paint what they see, I prefer to paint or construct what my mind imagines. I love to paint. I love to put disparate objects together and somehow unify them. That is how I explore. I think I'm just made to be an artist.